Alrighty, and welcome back to Season 2, Episode 5 of our Beyond the Whistle NCTV's podcast. Chase Harden alongside me, Gray Tamasco, Danielle O'Malley, and of course, the great one, Will Langford. Gray, this is going to be a golf podcast centered around the Masters, Live, which was introduced last year, versus the PGA and the FedEx Cup. Gray, talk to us a little bit about our content today.
Right, so segment 1 here, we're going to talk all about the Masters and you know, some of the recap and some things to look out for and some exciting things that happened. Round 1 to 4, there were obviously 4 rounds of golf played from April 6th to April 9th. The Augusta National Golf Club has hosted the annual Masters tournament since 1934. It's the only major hosted at the same course every year. There were a total of 104 players that were invited to participate, including all past champions still living, including 18 live golfers. We'll get to that, more on that later, the live versus the PGA Tour golfers, but that obviously sparked a bit of controversy. The 2023 Masters wrapped up Sunday, April 9th. It was full of surprises and excitement for golf fans. Jon Rahm obviously emerged victorious, and Spain boasts yet another Masters champion. This occurred after significantly turning the tables in the tournament's final round. Guys, if you have any comments on Jon Rahm's victory or anything you saw there?
Yeah, I mean, going into that last day, it looked like Koepka was going to take it. He was up by, I think, 4 strokes. And all he had to do, I think Rahm finished 12 under.
He finished 12 under.
Yeah, and Koepka just had to maintain, par, but he did not have too good of a day. I think what was messing with him was the slow play with Cantley in front of him. That play was way too slow. And
I was going to mention
Koepka hates slow play, and that, I think, was just...
He said it in the interviews at the end, and he was, disgusted with Cantley. I mean, he would take 5 minutes per putt. And Cantley also has been, that has been said about him by a lot of other golfers. Yeah. And Koepka likes getting in his rhythm. He likes playing fast. I think when he had one of the rounds, he was first off the tee, and I think he and his partner finished in under, 2 hours and 45 minutes.
Hovland was in their group, and Hovland had a chance to win the tournament as well. And then the slow play. I think it was just strange. I saw a clip where Hovland was putting, and Cantley was still, 50 yards out doing his thing. But you talk about Rahm's highlights. I mean, Koepka had the lead all weekend, and then Rahm just turned it up. And one of the memorable shots, I know it was later in the tournament, was his chip on 18 to win the Masters. It was he had a good lead, but it was a tough chip right over that big bunker, a tough bunker, and he stuck it to 4 feet. It was a beautiful shot, and then he won the tournament. And I think, nobody really dislikes Jon Rahm, and now he's number 1 in the world. So
right, it's a pretty cool title to have. Obviously, the green jacket. Koepka was tied for second with Phil Mickelson, 4 strokes behind Rahm. So obviously, you can see there was big moves made by Rahm on that final day to seal in that championship, which was really special. If you guys have any comments about what you thought about the tournament this year, if the competition was there, I feel like this tournament, specifically the Masters this year, had a lot of hype around it. I think it got a lot of people into golf. I think, they're kind of in a dry period. Maybe it's warming up, and a lot more people are into golf right now. Anything on that?
Yeah, I mean, the Masters, I think every year the hype's there. The traditions around it. Some we can talk about is, the great drive-in, and then just the food, the concessions. Everybody loves that. And, how cheap they are. Just everything about it, and how the history behind, the Masters winner. You talk about some of the legends in golf. We think of, Jack Nicklaus, Arnold Palmer, Mickelson, obviously Woods, all these guys that have, all taken green jackets, and it's such a big thing in the sport. And it's probably one of the biggest tournaments in all of pro sports. So, I mean, the Masters just has so much history behind it, and that's why everybody loves it.
And then just a cool stat. About 70 million were done in merch sales during Masters Week. And it just shows you how popular it is and how you can only get that in one place.
And you can only get it, That's why it's a rare...
They had, I think it was they had 8 lines, and they were literally doing, it was $50 a second was like the math or something. It was pretty cool to see that that's how like valuable just one piece of clothing is.
And before we move on to, our other discussions, I think something that was not noted this weekend was the amount of delays. Like, I don't think I've seen this in a Masters
2 trees down, right?
Well, yeah, they had 3 days where it was just their play got pushed the Thursday, then the Friday, and then the Saturday they had to play 29 holes, or Sunday they had to play the 29 because Saturday they weren't able to finish the round. So Rahm and Koepka played 9, went in, showered, and then came back out for a
extra in the shower.
Yeah.
All right.
Did their thing. But let's move on.
Right, closing up with the Masters, Jon Rahm victorious. We will now move on to segment 2 of this podcast, a little Live versus PGA Tour talk and debate. Tensions are rising. So we'll start off with a little thing here. I'll name a topic or a concept, and then I'll talk about the pros and cons of what each tour does well, and then we'll all pick, who gets the point there or who's kind of the better tour in that sense. So I'll start off with quality of golf. Both tours obviously have combined for the best golfers in the world. The Live Tour limits their field to 54 golfers. So this makes a leaderboard of golfers that are exclusively well-known. For the most part, you're going to know a lot more golfers on that list when you're watching, as opposed to the PGA Tour, who allows for upwards of 144 golfers. So many of those are going to be names you don't know, you've never heard of, young guys coming up through the ranks, and that's kind of how you make your name. Scores are going to be roughly the same between tours. There's guys, low at -10, and there's going to be some guys who struggle at +10. And you're going to see quality golf on both courses. So for that reason, I'm giving this a tie. I think both tours have great golfers. They obviously have their pros and cons in terms of big names, but I think, generally speaking, it's fairly even, the playing field.
Well, the thing that separates them both is the fact that the Live Golf is offering a ton more money. I mean, we're talking guys that, aren't as top tier as some of the other pro golfers, and they're getting off. I think Tiger Woods got offered $1 billion, yeah, and he turned it down because he has a crap ton of money already from all his sponsors and stuff. But I think that's the big separator, which makes the PGA probably boost their rates, or else guys are going to go over there for the money. But guys like Rahm, their logic is, all their lives they've just wanted to play for the PGA, and the connections with the Saudis and all the BS they've done. I think it's kind of ridicule to go play for their.
So who wins quality of golf?
It's really a toss-up. I mean, Liv's getting all these older guys. Not older, but they're getting most of the younger guys who are in it for money.
That's why I gave it a tie,
then the older guys. So you got Mickelson, you went over there, but a lot of young guys are so in tune with the money. Because, if you're, a 23-year-old dude and you're like, oh, I'm getting offered all this money, it's like, why would you turn it down? But I don't know. It's just, I would say it's a toss-up, but it's just the things that are behind the Live is just sort of sketchy.
Toss-up sounds like a tie.
I'm kind of with Jordan on that. However, I actually think it's the PGA Tour. Because overall, there's just more talent on the PGA Tour. Like, you just look up who was in the Masters. I mean, I am a golf fan, but I, knew every single person in the field. However, when you look at Live, they only have gotten so much from the PGA Tour, just like the top names, Mickelson, DJ, Koepka, DeChambeau, Cam Smith. It only goes to a certain amount, and especially with how it's backed in money. But you look at the PGA Tour, you have the best college players, you have amateurs, you have those guys who have been the best of the best for years. And those who respect to tradition. So I'm going to go with the PGA Tour on this one. I just think it has better quality of golf. I'm not saying that Live cannot overtake it. However, as of right now, I think you're just seeing more talented golfers, and especially considering Tiger Woods turned it down, shows you that it's not all what it seems.
Danielle?
Well,
Yeah, I have to agree with Will on this one. Although Live does have those big names, I think that the money can also play somewhat a part in their play, as they're just doing it for the money, and they don't exactly. I'm not saying all of them don't play up to that money.
Yeah.
But it's just with that whole money factor, I don't think that they're they're not playing up to their contracts, I guess. And
Right.
whereas the PGA is definitely more, like you said, tradition based, and people are really just
And a lot of the golfers are older on the LIV Tour because they have to solidify themselves before they get approached by the tour to come join it.
And let's be honest.
Mickelson is 51. Yeah. DJ's 38. They're 38
They're big names,
young,
but
it's nearing the end, and you have to solidify yourself. And if that's what you have to do, then that's why we see that separation between them.
Let's be honest here. We're talking like, oh, money, money, money. Like, that's the most sought-out reason you'd go play for LIV is money. And, we're talking like, oh, they're just doing this for money. Well, obviously they're just doing it for money. Like, they're getting paid all this zhing to go play. That's the only reason you go over to LIV. There's no other reason people probably go over. I don't know what other reason you would do it. And whether you're 50 or 25, if somebody's like, hey, if the PGA is offering, I'm just pulling this out of my hat. If they're offering, $10 million a year to your top golfer compared to, $100 million, or the contract wise, it's like most guys, it's just going to suck you in. It's
was given $138 million, received half up front, and the other half when he completed one full season.
Yeah, and it's just like,
all right, so
the Saudis are all, it's all for money. That's the only reason you'd go play for them. And,
right.
But I just think all the stuff with LIV is BS, and the Saudis.
All right, so now let's talk about more of that money aspect. Obviously, that last one was about the quality of the golf, but tournament prestige. I think you guys will have strong opinions on here. It's kind of a clear answer, but you know what? Pros and cons. We'll still read them out and see what we think. So while Danny Lee walked away with $4 million for winning the Tucson tournament, a title or trophy didn't really have any meaning or significance in golf, really. I mean, that's a LIV Tour championship. But if you win certain PGA events, it's almost like you're immortalized as a champion. You're like forever a great golfer. Your name is forever there. And it may come with time, but at least for a while, in my opinion, winning on LIV will simply be a large payday, not a real championship.
Well, I mean, it's also only been around for a year. So there's really, if something's been around for a year, why would there be history behind the trophy? If Lang created, a basketball tournament at the Y and had a trophy, it'd be like, oh, whoop-de-doo. But, Gray's Y-Ball Association that's been around 50 years, it'd be like, heck yeah, I want to win that. Like, it's going to take time for that to build history. Even the first year of the Masters, I'm sure that, trophy didn't really mean a lot. But now that it's been around for 100 years and it's got all that history, it's like, holy, moly, I just won the Masters.
So there's 5 major opens to the PGA. If you win one of those, like, to anybody, you're seen as like a very good golfer. I mean, the PGA Tour is approaching 100 years, continuing. Like, even if it's not the Masters, if it's the Open, the Players, or the PGA Tour, like, whatever it is, if you win one of those, you're solidifying yourself. And although you, like Gray said, you might win a monetary prize, I think the green jacket's worth more than $4 million because now you're back at the tournament every year.
Get some
you're
good
at the
grub,
Masters
too.
Champions Dinner. All this stuff that comes with it, and you're just looked at as a much better golfer. Like Jordan Spieth, however, did finish second the year before. He won the Masters. Then he won the Masters. That really solidified himself as a promising young golfer.
Yeah.
However, with LIV, only having these big paydays, there's really no significance to the championships. Like Phil Mickelson, as he's approaching the end of his career, joined LIV because he had nothing else to show for it. But now he's hated by his peers in his competition. And golf's one of those sports where you'll spend 3.5 hours talking to your competition. And if you're hated by it, that's just going to create for a bad round, get you off your game, whatever it is.
Let's hear Danielle's thoughts on this one, and then we'll move on. Just tournament prestige.
I have to agree with Will again on this one. I mean, obviously, LIV has not been around for long enough, but I don't think that it will get, because of how much controversy surrounds it, it won't have that opportunity to gain that prestige that the PGA Tour has. And I just think that it won't ever mean as much as the PGA because of that controversy. Yeah. So the importance of it really doesn't matter in the end, no matter the money.
Yeah, well, I'm not, obviously it's not going to, when there's that much money involved, there really isn't significance behind it. And I've probably said this 1,000 times. The only reason people go over there is for the money. And that's, you have guys that haven't been around that much money in a while. They're come from college, and you'd be like, heck yeah, I want all this money. But and then you talked about Phil Mickelson. It's like he's at the end of his career. He saw a big, bonus package of a lot of cash. He went over there and was like, heck yeah. And, maybe he
sacrificed his
reputation. But then it's like, yeah, haha, like you hate me, but I have $15 million more than you.
All right.
But I can't, I hate it. I hate the Saudis. I think everybody does. So,
got to chart on that. One thing to add, in the 90s, the founder of LIV, not the Saudis, the actual founder, tried to start another tour like the LIV tour and actually failed after a couple of years. So, and that didn't have the backing of the Saudi bank, the Saudi royal family. Yeah. So I could see this going for a little bit, but I honestly don't see it for going much longer because as less and less people join, then PGA Tour golfers won't join, and then there's no reason to pay nobody's big amount of money.
All right, awesome. So for PGAs, obviously for tournament prestige, that means as of now, in our opinion, the PGA Tour is still the better tour to play for. Now, moving on to a quick question. We'll leave replies to very short, so just state your stance and quick 10 seconds of thought. What tournament would you play for, and what do you value more, money or prestige? Personally, I think I might be playing for the LIV Tour coming out of college, especially if I was getting paid the big bucks. Otherwise, if I wasn't
never
getting
let
paid,
you back on the PGA Tour.
Okay, knowing that, you know what? If I can make my money and run, I might have to go with that one.
It's tough, man, because like we can all sit here and like we said, we hate the Saudis and what their background is, but honestly, is the package that comes with it. If you're a young kid out of college and you have the chance where PGA is paying you $1 million and then they're paying you, it's all about money. And honestly,
also like LIV's not offering you right out of college. You're gonna have to wait.
Yeah, you're gonna have to play well, but It's a toss-up between taking that. And, oh, by the way, you can go play for the Masters and get your green jacket there. But, we all agreed PGA over LIV. But then it's like the money is just such a big factor. And I can see in years to come the PGA being like, in order to compete with this, we need to boost, our money as well so that these guys.
So who do you got? What would you play for right now? Split-second decision.
I hate the Saudis, man. PGA.
All right, PGA. Will.
I'm with Chase. Not only do I hate the Saudis, but to compete for the Masters or the PGA Championship, the Open or the U.S. Open would be, dream come true. And that's 4 months back-to-back of just insane golf, playing with the best players in the world, being respected among everybody in the world. I don't think it's even close. PGA, if you choose LIV, you should leave the podcast.
I agree. I would take the PGA over LIV any day. The money really does not matter when it's really the prestige that does, because that prestige can lead to more money in the end.
Just win the Masters.
Just
win the Masters.
Yeah, exactly. So why not just pick the PGA if the prestige can lead you to more money in the end?
Yeah.
All right, awesome. So that is finishing up segment 2. We will now do a quick segment 3 on looking forward, FedEx Cup Championship. Obviously, that'll be played next fall. And last year, or I guess last year, the Northern Ireland native became the first player to win 3 FedEx Cup titles. His name is Rory McIlroy, winning 3 tournaments and finishing in the top 10 of 16 starts, including all 4 major tournaments. For these reasons, I've got Rory winning next year.
Thanks for the nice background there, Gray. You could have just said Rory right from the start, like a normal person, instead of telling us where he came from. I'm just going to go with Justin Thomas. After missing the cut at the Masters, I can see him, coming off a big run this summer with both Opens, and I see him winning the FedEx Championship, with that fuel from missing the cut.
I've got to go with Jordan Spieth for the FedEx Cup. I've always liked him, and with his comeback in the Masters, I definitely think that he's going to be ready for this FedEx Cup. He's definitely looking like a much sharper golfer.
That's tough, but I'm going to take, we always see, like, guys like Tony Finau, Xander Schauffele. I feel like those guys are always competing.
Tony Finau?
Yeah, all right. This guy's chirping. Mr. Chirper over here. He's like a bird in a tree. I'm going to take, that's tough. I just have a weird feeling like Xander Schauffele. These guys they always bring their game. But I'm going to take Justin Thomas to win the FedEx Cup. I'm not going to introduce where he's from. He's a U.S. guy instead of Gray's whole background. But, USA, baby, greatest country in the world. Let's go, Justin Thomas.
All right, Chase, close us out.
Before we do go, I want to bring up one thing. So here's a little, funny, whatever.
Just get there.
So how far from the green would you have to be to win the Masters on every hole?
The fringe. Go, quick fire.
30 yards.
Fringe.
Yeah, I would have to go fringe too with how tough those. I might even have to start on the green with how tough those greens are. But anyway, this was a fun podcast talking about live golf, the money involved, and everything else, man. Golf, the sport is on the uprise. It has been for the past couple years. Chase Harden alongside me, Gray Tamasco, Danielle O'Malley, and like I said, the great one, Will Langford, saying so long from the NCTV podcast room. We'll see you next time.